Hello everybody, it's Hip-Dippin' here, and today we're going to be doing another Best of Their Types video, and today we're going to be doing flying. Before we get started, I just want to reiterate that this type of list is very objective. I feel like that I chose these Pokemon, based on their abilities, and this has nothing to do with me having any personal sentiments towards them, like I enjoy using them or anything like that. I just feel like these Pokemon are the best of that type, and that type is going to be flying. Now, I'm really sorry for not having any videos up these past few days. It has been very stressful. Not that that's an excuse, but I have my finals, or my midterms, for high school going on right now, and I am very sorry for not having any videos up, but that has gotten in the way. And personally, I think that's just a tad bit more important, but I still enjoy doing these videos a whole lot, and I feel like this whole series I'm doing right now, yeah, please don't show that message again. Sorry about that. But I really want to, keep making these videos. I do have a great time making them. And as I was saying, this series that I'm doing, the best of their types, it's probably my favorite series I've done so far on this channel. Besides, the actual battles and stuff like that. So I'm very sorry for not having any battles up. But finals or midterms or whatever. So anyway, let's get started here. Best of their types, flying. Some flying basics are they tend to be very fast, very fast Pokemon. Their stab attacks are powerful and reliable, and all that means is they have very strong moves, pretty much. Namely, Brave Bird, Drill Peck, stuff like that. Roost is not necessarily powerful, but it's reliable, and all that means is that they tend to be strong moves, and moves you don't tend to see necessarily as reliable in other types, so that gives flying an advantage. They are immune to all entry hazards except stealth rocks, and that is an issue for flying types. They have an immunity to ground. However, they are frail and they do require team support, namely to get rid of their rocks and get rid of any Pokemon that would otherwise wall a flying type, namely Steel or Rock or a really defensive ground type. And they tend to be fairly common and subsequently, predictable. And all that means is that, if you're going to be running, say, a Talonflame, everybody knows that a Talonflame is such a pain to deal with. And unfortunately, that makes them very common and very predictable, so that is something you are going to have to watch out for. Now, flying type, right now, I feel like in the metagame is one of the most powerful types, and just because of how many things it hits, namely threats, say Mega Sceptile, any grass type, bug type, anything really that can be hit super effective is going to be, having to fear those flying types. So definitely flying is right now one of the best types in the metagame, I feel like. But it does, like I said, it does require team support, and they are fairly frail, so you are going to have to watch out for that. But number 10 on our list is going to be Mandibuzz. Or number 9. This is supposed to be number 10, I'm very sorry. But Mandibuzz. And I covered him in my dark type video, and it's a very good Pokemon, very defensive, and let's go ahead and take a look at it. Very solid base 110, 105, and 95 defenses. It is a very good and very reliable defogger. It's neutral to the fighting type because of its flying type and dark type. It can take hits very well, especially since flying and dark is a relatively good type combination. Not too many things are going to be hurting it for super effective. Namely, anything, the ones that are coming off the top of my head that are going to be threats are rock and ice, and as well as electricity. But really, those are the things you're only going to have to watch out for. Otherwise, it can take neutral hits like nobody's business. It is an easy Pokemon to use, and the reason I say that is because it tends to be like For example, Mega Kangaskhan. And I use the same example in my Dark type video, but I feel like it still applies. And Mega Kangaskhan is not a Pokemon that you need to really think about when you use it. Mega Kangaskhan, really anybody can use it and anyone can win with it. And I feel like it's the same way with Mandibuzz. Anybody can stay in on a neutral type and not have to think too hard about it, or have to think, with risks involved with Mandibuzzes because of how good it is at taking hits. And that's why it's number 10 on this list. That's why it's on this list at all, is just because it can take those hits very well. However, it is, while it does have a very solid base 95 special defense, not too many run specially defensive Mandibuzzes. And that tends to make them weak to special attacks, namely Ice and Electric. It can also be stopped by Taunt. Mandibuzz is a Pokemon that relies on its status moves like Defog and Roost. Now, when you take those away from it, Mandibuzz can't really do anything to the opponent, namely because they are not offensive. And that is, a major issue you're going to have when running Mandibuzz, is you have to watch out for those taunts. But regardless, Mandibuzz is a very, very good Pokemon. I personally do not use it, just because it's an OU, and I'm not the biggest fan of OU, but if I did play it, I may very well use him. So, good for that. Let's move on to his set. 252 in HP and 252 plus in defense. You're going to want to run 4 in special defense and a negative nature in special attack. Overcoat is the preferred ability. You don't want to lower your defense every time you take a physical hit, so Overcoat is generally the better one. Also protects you from Sandstorm, Hail, Spore moves, so that's fairly good. You're going to want to run Leftovers or Rocky Helmet. Both are very viable. However, I'd probably run Leftovers just because that, you're getting HP back every turn. Foul Play is a pretty solid move to run on Mandibuzz. Roost, Knockoff, and Taunt, Tailwind, or Toxic. Now, I have to say, Foul Play really makes this Pokemon work well as a defensive, wall. Just because not too many defensive walls have access to Foul Play. And what Foul Play does is it allows you to basically hit any Pokemon with their own attack stat. So, say, this is an extreme example, but say a Haxorus is in, and you hit him with a Foul Play. That's going to do a freaking lot amount to a Haxorus, namely because Haxorus has such crazy amount of attack. But again, that's just an extreme example, and chances are your Foul Play is going to be doing more than what you could do on your own, just because Mandibuzz does not have the greatest attack stat. Roost is going to keep you healthy, along with Leftovers if you choose to run it. Knockoff, pretty standard move, just knocks off the opponent's item, may even cripple them, who knows. And Taunt, Tailwind, or Toxic, you can stop other walls, you could speed up your team, or you can wear down the other Pokemon every turn. Now, all 3 of these moves are great, and if you had 3 extra slots, I'd probably run them all. But personally, I feel like the most effective is a real tie between Taunt and Toxic. It depends on what your team needs. If your team is weak to set up Pokemon like Dragon Dance Haxorus, for example, you can go ahead and taunt him and prevent him from setting up. Toxic, it's good to wear down the Pokemon and allows for you to, stay in against them, and they can just keep taking damage, and they will eventually die if they stay in. Tailwind, just to boost your team speed, very good if you want to run a supportive Mandibuzz, which is nice. So, yeah, that's pretty much Mandibuzz. Let's go ahead and move on to the real number 9. Sorry about that. That's going to be Crobat. Now, a lot of you see me use Crobat on my channel, and Crobat is so ridiculously good in OU and OU and UU, excuse me. Just really, it has a lot of things going for it, and not too many people are taking advantage of it, which is great. However, it is ranked fairly highly on the usage stats, so I don't know about that, but really it just works so well, and it can fit on nearly any team. I often have a hard time not using it just because of how versatile it is and how well it can do its job. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Crobat can do. It has an awesome base 130 speed, one of the best defensive typings in the game, and I say that seriously. My apologies, I got cut off by my recorder there, but like I was saying, one of the best defensive typings in the game, and I say that very sincerely. I really believe poison and flying, not many types get much better than that. It completely walls fighting, it completely walls grass, two very important types in the metagame right now, and it can just handle so many Pokemon. It's ridiculous, and you're just not going to find a Pokemon with that as great a typing as that, especially for a defensive Pokemon, which you can run, or you can run an offensive one. Well-rounded in its stats, it's actually very well-rounded. The only stat that's extreme is its speed, and everything else is very close together. I think all its stats are relatively in the 90s, so that's great. It's also a fast status setter, namely Taunt, Torment, or Toxic. You don't see Torment too often, but I decided to throw it in there if you want it to be unique. But you usually do see Taunt or Toxic, and right now I'm kind of leaning towards Taunt. I do usually run Toxic though, just to help get rid of those defensive Pokemon. It can shut down walls, namely with Taunt. It can switch into a lot of different things if healthy. I have freaking won games based on Crobat's stall, it's ridiculous. However, its poor 90 base attack stat prevents it from really excelling as a attacking Pokemon. However, you could run, say, a Choice Band or a Life Orb if you really wanted to. You are going to have to watch out for recoil if you do run Life Orb, but really, 90 attack stat is nothing to get too excited about. But I don't use it as an offensive Pokemon. I much prefer to use as a defensive Pokemon, as you'll see in the Crobat set. I prefer to run 252 in HP, 252 plus in speed, 4 in attack, and a negative nature in special attack. Infiltrator, its hidden ability is actually great. Breakthrough substitutes, goes right through the screens, light screen and reflect, and it hits a lot of Pokemon very hard. Black Sludge or Rocky Helmet. You don't usually see Rocky Helmet Crobat, but I decided to toss it on there. I much prefer Black Sludge. Brave Bird, is probably going to be your most offensive move. Toxic or Taunt in the next slot, and right now I'm kind of leaning towards Taunt, but Toxic is also a great option. Roost, just to keep yourself healthy, and Defog to get rid of those hazards. And right now, I feel like nobody runs Crobat with Defog. I've only seen one other player in my entire Pokemon Showdown career that ran Defog Crobat, and I feel like it's very underused. Underused like the tier. But I feel like Crobat can just do this job so ridiculously well, and that's why I put it above Mandibuzz. Whoops, my cat jumped up on my desk. I'm real sorry about that. But not many Pokemon can do what Crobat does as effectively as Crobat does it. And that's why I put him above Mandibuzz. He just does it much better, I feel like. Anyway, that's Crobat, one of my favorite Pokemon. Let's go ahead and move on to number 8, Gliscor. Now, if you guys have been on my channel for a long time, you'll know that I have a personal vendetta against Gliscor. And Gliscor is one of the serious reasons why I left OU, because OU was filled with Gliscor at the time. Not so much right now, but at the time, Gliscor was the point and click Pokemon. Click to win Pokemon. And I just could not stand it. It was such an impediment to team building, and it stands as a testament to how good it is. And unfortunately for me, I just could not handle how many people use them, and it just really, it got to me. But right now, Gliscor is actually a fairly good Pokemon. However, it does have its weaknesses, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. It has a great typing with only 2 weaknesses. Base 75, 125, and 75 defenses is very solid. Very, very solid indeed. Toxic Heal allows it to remain infinitely healthy, provided you use it correctly. It is difficult to get past if lacking Ice or Water type move or Pokemon. and it is especially annoying to deal with. I hate Gliscor with a passion, and I actually made a video about Gliscor a long time ago, if you guys want to go ahead and check that out, but whatever. It is however, it's 4 times weak to ice, and it is common and unpredictable, especially on the lower end of the ladder. You don't tend to see it on the more on the top of the ladder. Not a whole lot of people use it, but really just in the lower tiers, just about everything 1400 and below uses Gliscor, and I just cannot stand it. It's such a pain, but regardless, if you want to go ahead and use it, great. It's a very solid Pokemon, but I just cannot stand it. So enough about me rambling about Gliscor. Let's go ahead and take a look at its set. 252 in HP, 252 plus in defense, 4 in special defense, and a negative nature in special attack. You're going to want to run Poison Heal. Of course, obviously, why on earth wouldn't you run Poison Heal on this monster of a Pokemon? Toxic Orb, just to get that toxic on you. It also prevents other statuses, provided you get it and use it before the other Pokemon can, knock off or Will-O-Wisp or whatever. But, Toxic Orb is generally a good option. Earthquake, another solid attacking option. And Toxic or Knockoff. Toxic if you want to be one of the worst players in the world. I'm just kidding. Very viable strategy. And a Knockoff if you just want to cripple the other Pokemon by knocking off their item. Protect, of course, and Substitute. And the combination of Substitute and Protect and Poison Heal can actually keep you healthy forever. Well, as long as your moves last, but that combination is nearly impossible to break through. And it's a real pain for your opponent, as I've learned. And it is, very, very viable if you want a Pokemon that can take hits pretty well and, annoy the opponent. This is probably a good Pokemon you're going to want to run with. So that's Gliscor. Don't want to spend too much time on it. Let's go ahead and move on to the next Pokemon, which is Mega Charizard Y. And the reason Mega Charizard X is not on here is just because Mega Charizard X is Fire and Dragon. So maybe in those videos, but for right now we're dealing with Mega Charizard Y. Mega Charizard Y is one of my favorite, Mega evolutions, just because it looks so cool. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. Look at that base 159 special attack. That blows my mind. It has got a buff in special defense, allows it to take special hits fairly well, and if you got the sun up, you can take water hits, just be the envy of Blastoise. Draught sets up for hugely powerful moves, access to Solar Beam to get rid of its counters, which is very, very helpful on a Fire-type Pokemon. 4 times weak to Rock and Stealth Rock, however. It needs team support, and base 100 speed leaves something to be desired. Now, all that means is that it's not necessarily going to be a fast Pokemon, but it's going to be a Pokemon that can nuke the opponent if you're running, say, Fire Blast with the Sun Up with base 159 special attack. Not much is going to be able to live that after one. It's pretty much going to 2-hit KO everything in the game, provided it doesn't say 4 times resisted or whatever, but ooh, that is something to watch out for. Mega Charizard Y just does its job, just like Crobat, very, very well. And all it is a bulky, somewhat bulky special attacker. Its access to base 100 speed is not the greatest, but it does allow you to outspeed things if you wanted to. If you ran, say, speed control, like Sticky Web or Thunder Wave on a different Pokemon. If you did that, you'd be able to outspeed pretty much everything and nuke them in return. So let's go ahead and look at its set. It's going to be, now this set's going to be a little different from, what you're used to. You're going to want to run 104 in HP, 252 in special attack, and 152 plus in speed. And the reason that is just to maximize how much HP you can have, while at the same time allowing you to outspeed everything that is below 300 speed. and 300 or below speed, because with this setup you're going to be running about 301 speed with the positive nature, and you can pretty much outspeed everything else. Sorry about that, I got cut off again by my recorder, who stops every 10 minutes, so very sorry. But as I was saying, you'd be able to outspeed everything lower than 301 speed. So, namely all the slower attackers or the defensive Pokemon are not going to be able to stand up to you too well, which is nice. You're going to want to run a negative nature and attack. You're going to want to run Drought, it's your only option. Charizard Y. You're going to want to run Flamethrower or Fire Blast. I prefer Flamethrower just for that accuracy. Fire Blast is definitely an option though. Powerful option too. Solar Beam, of course, to get rid of your counters. That is the biggest thing. And Roost to heal yourself up. And Air Slash to basically hit anything else with a flying type stab move. And that you can also flinch. So, fighting types and grass types beware. Mega Charizard Y is definitely something not to be taken lightly. And really, Mega Charizard Y, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I feel like Mega Charizard Y is just as good as Mega Charizard X, despite not everybody thinking so. Mega Charizard Y is one of the few special attackers that absolutely destroys. And, it's not the fastest Pokemon in the world, but it does do what it does very, very good. However, I'm not going to go on and on about Mega Charizard Y like I did about Gliscor, so let's go ahead and move on. Our next Pokemon, number 6, is going to be Gyarados, and I decided not to include Mega Gyarados, namely because it's not the same type, but I feel like regular Gyarados can do its job just as well or even better than Mega Gyarados, and you know what? Who wouldn't be happy about that? So let's go ahead and take a look. Gyarados has pretty decent defenses of 95, 75, and 100. And it has a great attack stat of 125. It can take hits very well after an Intimidate on the physical side, as well as the special side, thanks to that base 100 special attack. And it is diverse and hard to predict what its setup and what it's running. Can stop a few other Pokemon from setting up. Gets access to Taunt, which is nice. After a few boosts, it's extremely difficult to stop. And it's 4 times weak to Electric, which is the only, real bad downside to Gyarados. And Gyarados, man, I've been walled by Gyaradoses before. They tend to run Thunder Wave, Taunt, Waterfall, and Earthquake, or something along those lines, maybe even Substitute. And really, it does a pretty good job of that. Defensive Gyarados is something to be wary of, and with an base attack stat of 125, you're going to be able to dish out some damage at the same time. And that is, devastating for your opponent, obviously, if you're able to, say, set up a Dragon Dance or something, and you'll be very, very high in your attack stat, and your speed as well. So let's go ahead and look at his set. I can't talk. You're going to want to run 252 in HP, and 252 plus in special defense, 4 in attack, and a negative nature in special attack. Now, you got some options here. You can run Intimidate to give yourself a little extra bulk, or you can run Moxie to keep boosting yourself over and over and over again after you keep getting kills. And Moxie is such an underrated ability. I don't think it's underrated, I just think, not a whole lot of Pokemon get access to it, and the ones that do absolutely destroy after a few boosts. And you're going to want to run Leftovers or Rocky Helmet. I have seen a lot of Rocky Helmet Gyaradoses, and I prefer to run Rocky Helmet on Pokemon that can heal themselves, so I'd probably go with Leftovers if I were you. Waterfall, Earthquake, Thunder Wave, Taunt, or Dragon Dance. And you could even, substitute Earthquake if you wanted for Dragon Dance, if you really wanted to run Taunt. However, I feel like Earthquake is fairly necessary as it also hits all the things Waterfall doesn't. and the two synergize pretty well with each other and get rid of a lot of Pokemon. Thunder Wave is another form of speed control, which allows you to outspeed them in the following turn, if they're faster, say, or it allows you to make them not move. You know, that's nice. I believe it's you got a pretty good chance of, you know, having them be fully paralyzed, and you're going to be able to move while they can't, which is also a very nice thing to go ahead and have. Really, Gyarados does what it does well. And I know I say that about a lot of Pokemon on this list so far, but they just do. They just do a really good job of it. And the reason you're going to want to run Bulk is because you have access to Dragon Dance. Why would you put EVs into attack and speed when you can just set up yourself easily with Dragon Dance? Personally, I feel like that's one of the best playstyles there is, running a bulky Pokemon with a setup. And once you get set up, because you can take hits because you're bulky, once you set up, it's very difficult for the opponent to go ahead and stop you. And really, I think Gyarados can just do whatever it wants on the field because it's so strong, and set up on any, you know, if you get the opportunity to set up, do it, and you'd be able to, you know, destroy the opponent while they have, you know, while they're sitting on their hands or something, because they're not going to be able to stop you that easily. So that's Gyarados. Let's go ahead and keep moving on here. Number 5 is going to be Salamence. And the only reason Mega Salamence is not on here is because Mega Salamence is Ubers. And you run Mega Salamence very differently than regular Salamence. So, and I do not, you know, play in Ubers, at least not right now. Maybe in the future, but right now I do not. So let's go ahead and take a look at regular Salamence. He has a phenomenal base 135 attack. Freaking great, man, I swear. It has access to the very rare Refresh from a GameCube game, Pokemon XD. So if you're on cartridge, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to go ahead and transfer that. But if you can, it's pretty nice. And so that is something to keep in mind if you really want to run Salamence on a cartridge. If you wanted to run Refresh, that is. I personally do, you know, get rid of burns and stuff. It's very nice. It is difficult to stop once fairies and steel types are dealt with. 2 great abilities. It is diverse. It can easily sweep once it sets up. However, it is 4 times weak to ice, so ice shards are going to be an issue. Ice beams are going to be an issue. Any ice move, really, you're gonna have trouble with. And but if you can get rid of those threats, Salamence can easily, you know, come in and really wreck shop with the opponent if you could, or if you wanted to. So let's go ahead and look at his set. Salamence is one of those few Pokemon that can just do work on almost any other Pokemon, and especially after a few boosts, it's not even a competition anymore. Salamence just does its job well, and not too many Pokemon can do anything about it. So you're going to want to run 252 in attack, 252 plus in speed, 4 in defense, and a negative nature in special attack. I prefer to go with Moxie here. And Moxie, just because you're going to be able to keep boosting yourself, say if you wanted to run Choice Scarf as opposed to Yachi Berry. But Intimidate, good option if you want to run Mega Salamence, but again, I'm not going to go ahead and cover him here. Choice Scarf or Yachi Berry. Choice Scarf allows you to not have to set up with Dragon Dance, and Yachi Berry is, you know, reduces the damage taken from ice type attacks. Maybe allows you to live 1 and set up, and then go ahead and sweep him after that. But right now, you can go ahead and run Outrage or Dragon Claw, Dragon Dance, Earthquake, Fire Fang, Roost, or Refresh. And if you're going to be running a Choice Scarf, you might as well run Outrage and Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw to be a little bit more reliable. Outrage just to deal that extra damage. Excuse me, I cannot talk. But if you're going to be running Yachi Berry, I definitely would run a Outrage, probably Dragon Dance, Earthquake, and then Fire Fang or Refresh. Actually, I'd probably go with Refresh, just because, you know, get rid of burns, which is nice. And you can actually, I do this all the time with, say, another Pokemon. Snorlax in particular, if you watch my videos. And I'll let the opponent burn me. I'll let the opponent toxic me. I'll let the opponent paralyze me. And I just keep setting up on him. And they think, hey, you know, he's burned. I don't have to worry about him. And then I go ahead and reveal the rest, or the refresh, or the heal bell, or whatever. I got cut off again by my recorder, so I'm sorry about that. But then as I was saying, I'll go ahead and reveal my healing move, or move that'll heal my status, and then the opponent's in for a really difficult time now that I'm fully set up. And Salamence is kind of run the same way. You could definitely run Roost also, it's down there, just to heal yourself back up, but I prefer Refresh, and Refresh just allows you to heal yourself and go ahead and destroy them once you're done. So it's pretty cool, it's pretty nice actually. And I definitely love Salamence. It's one of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 3, and he wrecks shop, absolutely wrecks shop with the opponent if you can use him correctly. And not too many people do use him. It's very rare that I see Salamence, and when I do, I am in for a rough time, let me tell you. But that's enough about Salamence. Let's go ahead and move on to number 4, which is going to be Thundurus, and Thundurus T. Therian. So Thundurus and Thundurus T are two very different Pokemon, and it's that way just because of their abilities. And really, Thundurus is a very diverse, it's very versatile, and it's a Pokemon you're going to see a lot. It's very common. So let's go ahead and take a look. Base 125 special attack in incarnate form, which is its regular form, and base 145 special attack in Therian form. It has access to Nasty Plot to go ahead and boost that special attack even more than what it was. Access to Prankster in incarnate form, which is really, really cool. Only 2 weaknesses to Rock and Ice. You know, Rock you're not going to see too much outside of Stone Edge or Rock Slide, and Ice is something you are going to have to watch out for. It is actually fairly fast in incarnate form with 111 base speed, and it can be very effective in shutting down threats thanks to that Prankster taunt, which so many Pokemon before have been able to take advantage of, and now Thundurus. It is fairly slow in Therian form, base 101 speed. However, it is going to outspeed things like, say, Charizard, or you know, Salamence, or Pokemon like that, and really that gives it a huge edge, especially against those dragon types, flying dragon types, because chances are you're going to want to run Hidden Power Ice. So Thundurus is a very versatile Pokemon, I feel like, and it's a Pokemon that can take advantage of a lot of others, so freaking nice. And I got 2 sets here for you. Thundurus Incarnate set, again, Incarnate's just his regular form. You're going to want to run 252 plus in special attack, 252 in speed, and the reason I don't run 252 plus in speed is just because you got Prankster, and you're not going to need all that speed. You can actually go ahead and put the positive nature into special attack and hit even harder. You're going to want to run Force in special defense and a negative nature in attack. Prankster, obviously, is the better ability. Although it gets Defiant, its attack stat is not the greatest, so I definitely would run Prankster. And Life Orb or Expert Belt is a very good option. And Life Orb just to hit harder, and Expert Belt you can use to bluff, say, a choiced item, have the opponent switch in, and then you go ahead and surprise them with switching it up maybe. Thunderbolt is a good option for all that power. Thunder Wave just to go ahead and stop them in their tracks. It's another form of speed control. Hidden Power Ice, which will hit ground types and other flying types very, very hard, and is in general a very good move for Thundurus to go ahead and run. Good move for any electric type Pokemon to run. And then you can run Taunt or Nasty Plot. Taunt just to shut down other walls, other Pokemon that would be able to set up, and Nasty Plot to go ahead and boost your special attack by 2 stages, times 2, and your opponent's not going to know what hit them at all. I mean, after a Nasty Plot, your special attack essentially becomes 250 base, so that is great. That's actually pretty awesome. And since it's all maxed out, you're going to have the most damage output you can possibly have, so that's really something to look forward to if you're going to be running Thundurus Incarnate. Our next set is going to be Thundurus Therian, And you're going to want to run 252 in special attack and 252 plus in speed, 4 in special defense, and a negative nature in attack. Now, the reason why it's 252 plus in speed is because it lost 10 points of speed. Now, that is very, very sad for Thunderous, but it's the way it is. And you're going to want to take advantage of being able to put as much speed in your speed stat as possible. And once you go ahead and do that, you're going to be somewhat fast, faster than base 100s, that's for sure. And you're going to be able to dish out some serious damage. So let's go ahead and take a look. Life Orb, I skipped the whole thing. Yeah, your ability is going to be Volt Absorb. Switch in on, say, like a Thunderbolt or a Thunder Wave or something, and you essentially got a free switch. Life Orb or Expert Belt, same as before. Life Orb just for that extra power, and Expert Belt to go ahead and bluff, say, a choice item or whatever. Thunderbolt, pretty standard move, or you could run Volt Switch if you really wanted to, but I prefer Thunderbolt just because you can stay in and keep firing them off. Grass Knot is a good move to have, especially on a flying type Pokemon. Or Focus Blast to hit those types that would otherwise completely wall Thunderous, namely Steels and Rock types. Nasty Plot to boost your special attack, same as before, and then Dark Pulse or Psychic. And Dark Pulse, hit those Psychic type Pokemon, hit those Dark type or Ghost type Pokemon, and Psychic is generally a good, coverage move. Hits Poison pretty hard, and it's pretty nice. It's pretty good. Now, Thunderous Therian is, in my opinion, better. Just that extra boost in special attack goes a long way. And if you really wanted to, you could run 252 plus in special attack as opposed to speed, and just maximize damage output while having some form of speed control. Probably Sticky Webs if you're going to be running Thunderous Therian. And he's just so awesome. I freaking love Thunderous. He's probably my favorite out of the genies, but he does his job well, just like every other Pokemon on this list, and he just executes what he needs to execute in a timely manner. So let's go ahead and move on. Number 3 is going to be Skarmory, and I bet a lot of Pokemon, or a lot of people who are watching this video, are saying, where's Skarmory? Well, here he is at number 3, a very, very cool Pokemon, a neat Pokemon to go ahead and run, and he's good. He's good, he does a good job, and a whole lot of people run him. He's very popular. He has astounding defenses of 65, 140, and 70. His typing is excellent, with only being weak to fire and electricity. He is one of the best hazard setters. He's a very good defogger, and he provides a good chunk of bulk to team building, and he handles fairies well, namely Azumarill. Azumarill has a very difficult time breaking through Skarmory, and he is unfortunately fairly common. Now, Skarmory is run primarily with max HP, max defense, and that's probably what you're going to go ahead and see. It does have a fairly open gap in special defense, so you can go ahead and pound that pretty hard with any neutral special move, and you can probably wear him down after a few turns. He does have access to Sturdy, which is going to allow him to live at least one hit, and provided he doesn't flinch or get paralyzed or something along those lines, he's going to be able to execute a move. And namely, he could set up hazards, he can defog. Really, anything is possible with Skarmory, and you're going to have to play somewhat carefully around him, as he can easily set up spikes or stealth rock or whatever on the opposing Pokemon, and they're not going to be able to do much to him. Most Pokemon cannot break through Skarmory in more than one hit, say. Of course, more than one hit because of Sturdy, but not many Pokemon are going to be able to 2-hit KO him that easily. And, he can even hit hard back with a Sky Attack, if you wanted to run Sky Attack, or Brave Bird or Drill Peck, or something along those lines, so you're going to have to watch out for that. Skarmory's set is pretty standard. 252 in HP, 252 plus in speed, 4 in attack, negative nature, and special attack. Sturdy, of course, is the ability of choice. Leftovers, a Rocky Helmet. you could really go either way here. Since Skarmory has access to Roost, I am more inclined to allow Rocky Helmet if I were to run him. But you know, the choice is up to you. If you want to maybe use leftovers to get your sturdy back after a few turns, you can definitely go ahead and do that. That's what I probably do. I just prefer having my Pokemon a way to heal themselves without having to rely on. So the moves, in fact, are going to be Drill Peck, Roost, Iron Head, Stealth Rock, or Defog. Now, you're definitely not going to want to run Defog on your Skarmory unless you're not running, say, Hazards. And Skarmory gets access to Spikes and Stealth Rock. However, I feel like Stealth Rock is the, in general, better choice to go ahead and run, because Stealth Rock, you can easily go ahead and toss up 1 layer as opposed to 3, and it's going to be doing a decent amount, up to 50% to a Pokemon, whereas Spikes, the max you can do is, with 3 layers up, is 25%. So I feel like Stealth Rock is definitely a bit more viable, especially with the amounts of Flying, Bug, and Rock-type Pokemon in the metagame. Not Rock, Fire-type Pokemon in the metagame right now. And Stealth Rock is a very good option. Very, very decent option to go ahead and run on Skarmory. And Skarmory can easily take advantage of that and be able to set it up with ease thanks to its crazy defenses. So that's pretty much Skarmory. You know, he does his freaking job so well. And you know what? I feel like Skarmory, as used as it is, I feel like he has a very good reason for it. So, and the only reason I'm running Drill Peck over Brave Bird is just to avoid that recoil damage and to preserve, your sturdy. And the more you preserve your sturdy, the more hits you're going to be able to take before you can go down. Freaking beneficial, man, let me tell you. And not too many people run Drill Peck Skarmory, but in my opinion, it just makes more sense. You know, you don't want to break your sturdy by your own move. And I definitely would prefer Drill Peck over Brave Bird, and I've learned that over the years. So let's go ahead and move on. Number 2 is going to be Talonflame, and everybody who's watching this video is probably wondering when Talonflame is going to show up. Well, here he is at number 2. Talonflame's a very, very good Pokemon, and it is so common that anybody can pretty much, you know, pick Talonflame in the team builder and, you know, Brave Bird and click to win, pretty much. Priority Brave Bird is something to be feared on every team, and not many Pokemon have the offensive capability of having a priority crazy attack like Brave Bird. And Talonflame, you know, just takes advantage of it. Granted, his attack isn't the greatest, but you know what? I'm not complaining at all with Priority Brave Bird. So let's go ahead and take a look at him. Like I said, Priority Brave Bird due to Gale Wings. It is an excellent choice band Pokemon. I've also seen supportive Talonflame with a Will-O-Wisp and Tailwind, and Priority Tailwind. You know what? Who would have known? He has base 126 speed, although that's not going to matter too much compared to, you know, you have in Priority. Stab attacks hit wide range of opponents. However, it does have lackluster base 81 attack stat. It's 4 times weak to Rock and Stealth Rock, just like Charizard Y. It is ridiculously common and is very predictable because, unfortunately for Talonflame, he has fairly a narrow moveset. He doesn't have a whole lot of moves he can go ahead and take advantage of. And if you go ahead and look up all his moves, they're pretty much limited to stab. You're not going to see crazy moves like close combat like you would on Skarmory, or not Skarmory, what's his name, Staraptor. You know, he's just not going to get that type of coverage. So he's very predictable. You're not going to have to be able to think too long and hard about what set he's running. After a few moves, you can go ahead and figure it out. But really, Talonflame is a Pokemon that you're going to have to watch out for. And like I said earlier, it's an excellent choice band Pokemon. And a choice banded Pokemon, you know, despite only having an 81 attack stat, is still something to be feared. So let's go ahead and take a look at his set. 252 plus in attack, 252 in speed, 4 in defense, a negative nature and special attack. Gale Wings is its hidden ability, and it's probably the ability you're going to want to take advantage of. And you can run Choice Band, Life Orb, or Expert Belt. However, if you are going to be running Life Orb, I do want to warn you that recoil is something to, watch out for. Say you knock out a Pokemon at full HP with Brave Bird. The amount of recoil you're going to take plus Life Orb is probably going to equal about half or even more of your health gone, so you can only fire off a few more hits before you die. And personally, I don't think it's worth it. I'd much rather run a Choice Band set, or an Expert Belt for that matter. For his moves, you can go ahead and run Brave Bird, Flare Blitz. He does have access to Taunt if you want to run anything that's not a Choice Band. He has access to Roost. Priority Roost is actually fairly useful. Tailwind, Priority Tailwind, and Steel Wing. And I had such a hard time trying to figure out a third move for this freaking Talonflame just because of how narrow its move pool is. So Steel Wing, if you're going to be running Choice Band, it's there just to fill in the gap. Even if you are running Choice Band, Roost is probably a better option. You could come in, Roost, and then switch out, get some HP back, but I don't know. It's just, he's so limited in scope, but that's just the way it is. But Brave Bird, pretty standard move on a Talonflame. Flare Blitz, just to hit those freaking Pokemon hard with a Fire-type attack, and Taunt, Roost, Tailwind, or Steel Wing, whatever, just to fill in the gap, and then U-turn, obviously, to get out and predict switches, get the right matchups, and, what have you. But, really, you're not going to see really any variation of this unless it's being a supportive Talonflame. You'd probably see Will-O-Wisp or Tailwind or something along those lines, but if it's offensive, this is probably the set you're going to be seeing the most, so you are going to have to watch out for that. And Priority Brave Bird is something to watch out for, but it doesn't get much else than that. It's very gimmicky, so you know what? If you want to run it, by all means, man, it's at number 2 just because of its gimmick, but it does it really well. So let's go ahead and move on. And our number 1 Pokemon is going to be Landorus T. And everyone and their mother runs Landorus T and OU for very good reasons. So let's go ahead and take a look. It's so diverse, it's out of this world. I've seen more Landorus T, sets than I have seen people on Earth, just because of how very rounded it is. It is base 145 attack. I wanted to put some sort of word to describe it, but I just couldn't, so base 145 attack, not much else I can say. It's pretty great. Intimidate allows for Landorus to be bulky, and that adds to the diversity thing just because it's Intimidate, It allows it to live even more hits and just be able to survive, U-turn, whatever Landorus does. Great stealth rocker. It is a generally well-rounded Pokemon, like I said. It forces switches. And really, that's just for your opponent to preserve his Pokemon. I mean, I don't want to lose any Pokemon to Landorus T, but I pretty much have to. If the opponent plays it correctly, Landorus T could destroy my whole team. However, it is difficult to switch into. That adds to the forces switches thing. It is 4 times weak to ice, however, and base 91 speed is mediocre, frankly. It is nothing to write home about, and if you want to make it offensive, Choice Scarf is, generally the item you're gonna want to run, or Speed Control, Speed Control, which is nice. But really, Landorus T really does what it does the best. I feel like out of all Flying type Pokemon that are not Ubers right now in this metagame. I can't say anything for the future, but I feel like right now Landorus T is where it's at. So I would love to run this Pokemon in OU. The only thing is OU inhibits team building, so I'm not that great a fan of it. But really, Landorus T, I can go on and on and on about Landorus T and how useful it is. Choice Scarf set allows you to outspeed almost everything in the tier, and you're not going to be able to beat him, 1v1. He's that good. So let's go ahead and take a look at his set. 252 in attack, 252 plus in speed, 4 in defense, and a negative nature and special attack. Intimidate is the only ability you get. Choice Scarf, Life Orb, or Earth Plate, and you can run Earthquake, Stone Edge, Knockoff, or Superpower, or U-Turn. And I really feel like the combination of Earthquake and Stone Edge is some of the best coverage you're ever going to get in moves. And they just complement each other so well, especially with this Pokemon with a base 145 attack stat. You're not going to be able to get anything better than that. Knockoff, just to cripple other... Trust me guys, I'm getting real sick of my recording software cutting me off too, but Knockoff is there just to go ahead and cripple other Pokemon that rely on their item, and Superpower is there to go ahead and, you know, bop the other Pokemon, say, that are weak to fighting, which is a lot of Pokemon. Ice is weak to fighting. And if you run Superpower, you can easily kill an Ice-type Pokemon a little bit more reliably than you could with Stone Edge. And U-Turn just to go ahead and get out of there, get out of bad situations, and predict switches. If you predict the switch, U-Turn, and you'll be able to get the right switch in, so that's great. Personally, I feel like Landorus T is seen on every single team in OU, and it rightly should be. It's so ridiculously good. I've had such a hard time trying to break through different Landorus Ts, and I just can't. It's that viable. And nearly every Pokemon player in Pokemon Showdown runs it for good reason. And I've really never seen a Pokemon be this effective since Greninja, and Greninja's been banned to Ubers, so let's go ahead and move on. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much. You guys mean a whole lot to me, and I love making these series. Again, I'm very sorry for not uploading in the past few days. It's just been, I had a lot going on, and I'm very sorry about that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, a rating, or a subscription if you're new, and leave a comment below what you think is, you know, your favorite flying type Pokemon, and you know what they can do. If I missed anything, you go ahead and let me know right there in the comments, and I will freaking respond to you, let me tell you. But yeah, you guys go ahead and let me know what you think of this series, what you think of how it's coming so far, and let me know what you let me know about your inputs, and I'd love to hear them. So thank you very much for watching again. Follow me on Twitter on @Hippadippin, and I'll greatly appreciate that as well. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll hope to see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.